What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I'd love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video is a continuation from a video I recently posted, which is reviewing the Total Strength program on Peloton by Andy Speer. I posted week 1 and 2, which I'll link down below. And now I'm going to start weeks 3 and 4, which will wrap up the program. I liked weeks 1 and 2, but I feel like it was a little easy, especially in week 1. So I'm excited to see Andy ramp it up for the last 2 weeks, and it definitely looks like he's going to. So for weeks 1 and 2, there were like 3 main workout classes each week. And this week he adds one. So there's 4 main workout classes, 12 classes total because there's a warm up and cool down. So today is Sunday. I think I'm going to work out Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday of this week. I typically like to try to get my strength in on weekdays just to like have a chiller weekend, but it is very gloomy in New York on this Sunday morning. So it's perfect to start the program and just knock out the first class of the week. So today is week 3, day 1. The schedule is a 10-minute strength focused warm-up, which we've been doing the same one this entire program, very well versed at this point. Then we're going into a 30-minute full body strength class. The description is your full body day comes early this week, and Andy has the plan to give you a great workout that benefits your entire body. Set yourself up for success by taking the 10-minute strength focused warm-up. Well, it's part of the program, so I will be taking the warm-up. And then we are going to wrap up today with a 10-minute post-strength stretch. Again, same one we've been doing this whole time. I'm not a huge fan, but we will get through it. And I'm excited. I really have been liking the full body strength classes. Those have definitely been my favorite in the past 2 weeks. There's usually deadlifts and shoulder presses. I like both. So let's hit the gym and knock out week 3, day 1. This class was a pretty good kickoff to week 3. I do really like the full body classes. So we started off with the warm up. Again, I'm not going to go like super in depth for the warm up and cool down. I already reviewed these classes because we do them every single day in this program. The warm up was fine. No real complaints. Then we got into the actual workout. And we had about 10 minutes of warm up again, which is pretty typical. The first 5 to 6 stretches were just typical, like full body warm up, body weight moves, but they were amped up a little bit. Like the first move we did was a hip bridge, single leg, and we were doing like dead bug with the leg that we had lifted up. So, Andy was really bringing it, but I liked it. I really like any kind of like body weight warm up. And we also already had the 10-minute body weight warm up, so like feeling pretty warm. Then we got into doing some like squat jumps where we like squatted down and then leapt forward and walked back. We also did like some modification of moves we've done in the past. So one was like halo and then good mornings. Instead of doing that, we did like some like WY movements not weighted, also with a good morning. And then we got into wood chops. The last 2 weeks we did wood chops on our knees, but today we did it in like a standing split squat, which definitely made it harder. So I was feeling that one was with weights. I did 15 pounds, which is what I've been doing. And then we were kind of ready to get into the main sets. So we had 2 sets. The first set was shoulder presses in a split squat lunge. And we did one side at a time and like just focusing on the one side. So like right side, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, left side, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. I stuck with 15 pounds, which is what I've been doing. And man, that was way harder. I feel like putting it in the split squat really does like push you. I find that really amps up the workout for me. I definitely couldn't have gone up in weight, but it felt good. It felt hard. And Andy's like, compared to last week when we were like alternating, you should feel it more this week because you're just doing it on one side, which does make sense. And then with the shoulder presses, we also alternated that with a deadlift. It was a suitcase deadlift. So instead of like coming out in front of your legs, they were to the side like a suitcase squat. And I stuck with 25-pound dumbbells and thought that this was good. Last week I was considering going up to 30, but I feel like this move was a little bit new, a little bit different. We also held at the bottom for 2 seconds, which I actually think is harder than doing fast deadlifts. So it was a good challenge. It felt like 25 pounds was a really good weight. And we did that set 4 times. So that was like a huge chunk of the class. And then our second set, we still did more deadlifts, which no complaint because I love deadlifts, but this was definitely a deadlift heavy class. And I feel like I've probably done this before, but not recently. It was like a kickstand deadlift. So essentially you put one foot behind you. That was like the kickstand. And essentially it was like a single leg deadlift. He said to use your medium weights or like what you're using for your shoulder presses. And I was considering grabbing 20s, but I'm glad I stuck with the 15 because that was actually pretty hard. You have all your weight on the one foot. Like you're really not supposed to be using the kickstand foot. It's mostly just for balance. So that was a challenge. And then to round out the set, we did triceps because we've always been doing triceps in the full body days. And we did like a mini little AMRAP. It was 5 skull crushers, 5 JM presses, and then 5 narrow grip chest presses. And he did that set twice. And I literally did it once because it took me so long. I also was like heavily debating if I wanted to grab 10s because I had been doing 10 pounds for the skull crushers, but I thought that that would be just like too easy for the other moves. So I went up to 15, but it was definitely a push for me, definitely had to go slow. And I think it's okay that I couldn't do like as many moves as him, you know. Still tried, still got through it. I'm honestly proud of myself for even being able to do any amount of skull crushers with 15 pounds. So this is progress. And we did that set 2 times and then the class was over. It really went by quick today. I feel like when you're doing stuff on like either side, that like really burns through the time because instead of like 1 minute for the shoulder presses, we did 2 minutes for each time in that set. And yeah, the class just flew by. And then I did the cool down. The cool down's very meh for me, but you know, we got through it. We cooled down, we stretched out, and that is a wrap on week 3, day 1. Difficulty, I would say he's really amping up the difficulty now. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. I definitely was pretty aggressive on the weights today, but that's what I've been trying to do this whole program. And yeah, I was working up a sweat, especially with all of those deadlifts. It was a lot harder compared to week 1 and even week 2. I can see that we are still progressing these moves. Enjoyability, I love deadlifts. I also like shoulder and chest presses. So this was like a great class for me. So I'd say like 8 out of 10 for enjoyability. It was a great way to kick off week 3. And I'm very excited for the rest of this week. It is now the next day. It's Monday morning and it is super gloomy out again, but we're just gonna get right on into day 2 of week 3. I was a little bit sore right when I woke up, mostly in my shoulders, but as soon as I got moving, like I feel completely fine now, completely ready to start the next class. So today we have the 10-minute strength focus warm-up, and then we go into 30-minute upper body strength. And the description is, after 2 full weeks of training with Andy, you should be feeling ready to tackle this 30-minute upper body strength class. Andy has a great plan to get you the best results in those 30 minutes. I definitely expect this class to just be kind of like the first 2 weeks, just amped up a little bit more, which no complaints here. I've been liking the ramping up. And then we have the 10-minute post-strength stretch to round out the classes today. So let's hit the gym on this Monday morning and knock out week 3, day 2. I liked that class a lot today, but my arms are noodles. We were really pushing it today, but it felt good. So we started off at 10-minute warm-up, no complaints, we did it. Then we got into the 30-minute class, and the first like 5 to 6 minutes were pretty typical body weight warm-up. Then we got into marching, and today we did lateral marches. So we like marched side to side. I'm just not sold on this whole marching thing, but we don't do it in every single class. But today we did. We got through it. Then we did some body weight push-ups, but we were supposed to like really curl in our elbows and go slow down, which felt good at the beginning of the class when I wasn't totally burnt out. So it was nice to get a couple push-ups in there. And then we went into the first set, which was chest presses. Andy really talked about how he wanted us to push weight today. I've been doing 20 pounds for the chest presses, and there's just like no way I can go up to 25. Like 20 is still very, very hard for me. That was a huge push when I chose it in the first week. And it's still a huge push now. So I stuck with the 20 pounds, but I just tried to get more reps in. Today we alternated. So on our backs, we held up both weights and then went one at a time. And we did 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 4 times, no other moves to break this up. So, the first one felt pretty good. The second one still felt pretty good. And the third one started really burning. And then the fourth one, I was struggling a lot. But that was the whole point. We're like building it up. And I feel like 20 pounds was like effective and a good workout. My arms were shaking. I could feel the burnout. Then we went on to rows for the second set. Again, rows were the only moves. We did do 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and Andy specifically said we're getting more recovery because we were not alternating for rows. We were bent over, almost in like a deadlift position, and rowing both. I stuck to 20 pounds again. It was hard again. Even with the 30 seconds recovery, that was quite the burn. I just tried to do them like pretty quickly, but Andy was like, make sure you have the form right. I'd rather have you have perfect form and do less than have not perfect form and do more. So I did really focus on the form, but I also feel like I got a good amount in. Again, that was also very hard. And then we finished off with our last set, which were chest flies on our back, a hollow body hold, and then bicep curls. But the bicep curls were interesting. We like first did our palms facing the ground, which I don't know if I've done before. I haven't done recently, but those actually feel the easiest to me. We did 5 of those, 5 normal bicep curls, and then 5 hammer curls. And we repeated that twice. So that was a push. I did 15 pounds for everything. I'm like, today is the day. I'm pushing up to 15 pounds for chest flies. And honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So maybe I should be more aggressively pushing weight. It was still very hard. I had to go very slow, but I'm proud of myself because I almost always do chest flies with 10 pounds. So it felt good to get that push in today. And we repeated that set 3 times. And then we had like a minute left to do some like 15-second push-up bursts. So we did like push-ups for 15 seconds, had 5 seconds recovery. I believe we did that 4 different times. And that was really hard. I only did off my knees for the first time. And then I was just like so dead. Like the class was so hard. And then doing these push-ups at the end, I went down to my knees, which I would prefer not to do it on my knees, but otherwise I was going to be doing like no push-ups at all. So at least I was getting some in at the end of class, because putting the push-ups at the end of the class is a little brutal on Andy, in my opinion, because you're already so dead. But yeah, I'm happy tomorrow is a rest day. I feel like my arms might be sore. Today was definitely a huge push. And then we did the 10-minute stretch, and that wrapped up the classes for today. For difficulty, I'd honestly give it like a 9 out of 10, especially for the chest presses and the rows where there weren't other moves to kind of like break up the time focused on that muscle. Like I could really, really feel the burn. And then even the chest fly, hollow body hold, bicep curl situation was also hard. And I was definitely pushing weight a lot. I want to get, as much as possible out of this program, but it felt good today. For enjoyability, I'd also give it a 9 out of 10. Upper body strength is actually not like my favorite thing to do, but I really appreciated this class. It always feels good like when you push yourself. This was a great class for a Monday morning. Like I'm ready to go now. I'm excited for the rest of the week. So yeah, today was really good. I really, really enjoyed today's class. It is now Wednesday morning. Yesterday I had a rest day from strength, which was nice because I had some soreness, mostly in my chest and shoulders, but we're feeling good today and we're ready to go. So we're gonna hop into day 3 of week 3. which is going to be lower body day. So we have the 10-minute strength focus warm up and then the 30-minute lower body strength class. The description is you will recognize the format of this class from past weeks, but you will face a new challenge of increased reps. So we're ready to pump it up. I am excited. Definitely see a lot of squats in my future though. And then we just wrap it up with the 10-minute post-strength stretch, and that is what's on the agenda today. So let's go to the gym and knock out these strength classes. That class was easier than expected, so maybe I should have tried to push weights more. So something for me to keep in mind for next week. But we started off 10-minute warm-up, that was fine. Then we got into the class, 5 to 6 minute body weight warm-up, no complaint there. We actually did one very interesting move. I've never done it before, where you sat kind of like the 90-90 stretch we're doing at the end, where you had one leg parallel to the front of your mat in front of you, and then another leg to the side of you that was parallel to the side of the mat. And then you like lifted up your body while remaining on your shins. He's like, make a box and then like lift up. And I've never done that. It wasn't like super hard. It was just interesting. I feel like it used muscles that I don't usually use. So I always appreciate it when there's like something new to learn, and like I definitely learned new moves from this program, which I think is cool. We also progressed the lateral marches to lateral skips. Again, that's such a throwaway for me, but you know, we did it. And then we also did the like side plank version that we're gonna do later on in a set. So this week's side planks were kind of like doing a crunch while being on one side. So you're like coming down like this. I'm just okay with that modification of a side plank. It definitely works some new muscles. Last week we did like 1 foot up and down, which I liked a little bit more, but you know, again, trying new things. So after this long 10-minute body weight warm up again, we got into the class. The first set was squats, and I grabbed 20 pounds and he's like, we're basically gonna try to go as fast as possible, get as many reps in. And 20 pounds is a push for me on squats, but honestly, it felt pretty good today. So maybe I can try to go up to 25 pounds before. I don't think I've ever done 25-pound squats like in my life. So I'm a little scared, but I think that I could do it. So maybe next week. The biggest thing for this set was it was like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. And then we did 40 seconds of hip stretches and 20 seconds off again before repeating the set. So you were getting a lot of recovery because the hip stretches are recovery. So I definitely think that was part of the reason why I felt like I could push more. But the 20 pounds were fine. We did that set 4 times and did hip stretches every single time. So definitely a long set. And then we got into our second set, which was kind of our final big set, where we held the heavy weight. He said to hold the weight that you did the squats with on one side and then did a backward lunge on that side. Again, I don't think that this was particularly difficult. I don't know. I think I was doing the move right. Maybe I just needed to go up in weight. Like, it just didn't feel as hard as in previous classes when we were holding 2 weights. Like, only holding 1 weight, I feel like makes it easier. He did say like, yeah, this is going to cause imbalance and you're going to like have to correct for it. But again, I didn't think it was that difficult. So we did 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off on one side, then the other side. Then we got down and did a side plank on one side with the side crunches. Did it on the other side. That was also 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. We repeated that set 3 times and then the class was almost over. We had a 50-second finisher of holding a squat at the bottom, an isometric hold, but it was body weight, no dumbbells. And I feel like that's also like not that hard. Like I was feeling the burn a little bit at the end, but it wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Like in comparison, if I had to do a 50-second whole body hold, I feel way, way worse than holding a 50-second squat at the bottom with no weight. I do wonder if my form is not perfect because I think part of it is like you don't want to sink into the squat, which I try not to do. But yeah, overall, didn't think that was like super, super difficult. Then the class was over and we did the 10-minute post-string stretch. That was fine. We got through it, and that was the class for today. So honestly, for difficulty, I would give this like a 6 out of 10. I really like didn't think it was very difficult, but I think that's on me that I need to be more aggressive with pushing weight. But we also did get a lot of recovery, a lot of warm up, and yeah, just not a ton of time doing the moves in my opinion today. And then for enjoyability, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. It wasn't unenjoyable, but I definitely like to be pushed a little bit harder. And then, yeah, I'm not like a huge fan of squats or reverse lunges, and that was the main set today. Like, no real complaints, but it just wasn't like, wow, this is amazing. I'd like highly recommend to take again. But we got through it, and it wasn't awful. Still got a good workout in, and I'm excited to wrap up week 3 on Friday. It is now Friday morning, a very dreary Friday morning, but we're ready to wrap up week 3 of this program. So to start off, we have the 10-minute strength-focused warm-up, and then we go into our new class of the week, which is a 30-minute full body complexes class. And the description is, today we introduce complexes as Andy guides you through sequences of exercises without setting down your weights. These are a challenge, but one that you've been working towards. I'm very interested in this class because all the other classes we've done are like progressions of classes in the past, so they're very similar to what we've done in week 1 and week 2, and this is a brand new class, and it sounds like it's going to be hard if we are kind of doing these supersets. So I'm interested to try it out. Should be fun this Friday morning. And then we finish off with a 10-minute post-strength stretch, and that is the rest of week 3. So let's hit the gym and knock out these strength classes. I am not completely sure how I feel about that class, but we'll go over it. So I started out 10-minute warm-up, no complaints. We got into the 30-minute class. There was, again, about 10 minutes of warm-up in this class as well, 4 to 5 minutes of body weight moves, and then we did some side planks. Then we did a lot of different marching, skipping, jumping, and we repeated that a couple of times. And then we did some squat stretches, kind of you lean over, touch your toes, and then go into a squat while still touching your toes and stretch out your legs and then raise your hands and stand up. We've done those before, and then we were ready to get into the main set. So basically the main set was 2 very long AMRAPs. So the first AMRAP, he said to grab your heavy weight. So I grabbed 20 pounds, and we did 6 squats, 6 bent over rows, 6 deadlifts, and then 6 push-ups. And I think 20 pounds was the right choice for me for this. 20 pounds for squats and bent over rows has been what I've been doing. I've been doing heavier for deadlifts, but in this context, I'm not going to switch weights, and I definitely can't go up in weight for squats and bent over rows. So I think 20 pounds was good. I have no major complaint. This was a 6-minute set, and he said to keep track of how fast you were doing it. He was also try to keep up with me. I couldn't keep up with him. I think I did 4 sets in the 6 minutes. Each one took me about a minute and a half. And I don't really have any beef with this complex or AMRAP or whatever you want to call it. It's mostly just how much is this helpful to strengthening me versus how much is this helpful to just have cardio. In my opinion, it's closer to strength cardio. My heart rate was definitely elevated. And I feel I like going slower, trying to up weight, and having personalized weight per move rather than just doing a bunch of moves in a row and continuously doing it. But that one wasn't that bad. That one was okay. I disliked the second one more. The next complex, or, super long AMRAP is the word that I would use to describe it, was backward lunges and then bicep curls and then shoulder presses. And these all alternated. So you did 1 on one side, 1 on the other, and you would do 2 on each side, then 3 on each side, then 5 on each side, and then you could put your weights down and take a break and then like start over. And this was 8 minutes long, which is getting really up there for me for an AMRAP. I'm not a huge fan of any length of AMRAP, so 8 minutes is quite long. And I think that 15 pounds was the correct weight for me, but Andy did say pretty quickly at the beginning, like, this is going to test your grip strength, and my grip strength is not good. So I knew that that was definitely going to be a problem. I felt it about 4 minutes in, which was at the end of my second set. I again did 4 sets, which was slower than Andy again, but you know, I'm going as fast as I can. And yeah, probably towards the end of the second set, I could really start to feel my grip go. And Andy did give a tip that when you're doing the reverse lunges to like let the front of your weight kind of tip forward, and that would help you. But like, you can't really do that when you're doing curls or shoulder presses. So he's just like, yeah, try your best. And I know I need to work on grip strength. I just don't know if this is like the most effective way to work on it. And that limited me severely. Like, my grip was hurting so much that the moves weren't that hard, especially for reverse lunges. I could have gone up in weight, but the grip strength was just killing me, especially because you could only put the weights down, or you're only supposed to put the weights down after you did 2, 3, 5 once, which is quite a lot of reps because you're doing them on each side and you're doing 3 moves for each of those. But we got through the AMRAP, I did it, and then there was 1 minute left of class, and I thought there was going to be some surprise finisher, and at that point I was just like, please don't have it be with weights because my grip strength is so dead. But Andy just ended the class, which I thought was a little weird. It does seem like we'll be doing these same exact like AMRAPs or complexes next week, so maybe there'll be a finisher next week, but it was a little odd because there was a minute left and then he just like talked for the minute and the class was over. Then we did the post-strength stretch, which I was really not a fan of today because I felt like I needed a lot of stretching for my grip strength. So I did the stretch, but then I had to do stretches on my own too, and that wrapped up week 3. I honestly didn't hate the class, but I also like didn't love it. It just kind of feels like a throwaway class to me. For enjoyability, like 6 out of 10. I'm not a huge AMRAP girly, but if you like AMRAPs, you'd probably like it more. Difficulty, I don't know how I feel about it either, because yes, of course the AMRAPs were difficult, but you got a lot of recovery, and it was only 14 minutes out of the 30 minutes of the class. So the other 16 minutes were kind of all throwaway for me. Like, sure, some warm up is helpful, but like really long warm up and then a lot of recovery as well. So I don't know, I'd give it like also a 6 out of 10. Today's class was just okay. I am worried because I did get comments that there's a lot of complexes in total strength 2. So let me know if this class is like what total strength 2 is like, because if so, I probably don't want to take total strength 2, to be honest. But, you know, we'll go in with an open mind. I do appreciate like mixing it up a little bit. It was cool to do something different just because we've been repeating the same stuff for 3 weeks now. And yeah, overall, not a horrible way to wrap up week 3. It's now Sunday morning. It's no longer gloomy in New York, which is awesome. And I'm ready to start week 4, the final week of this total strength program. So week 4 actually has 5 days of strength classes, so 15 classes in total. The last day is just the strength test plus a warm-up and cool down. And I already know I'm definitely going to combine that to the end of day 4 of this week, just because I don't want to have a separate dedicated strength day to warm up and cool down from when it's literally like 2 minutes of testing, 1 minute of push-up, 1 minute of squats. So I'm just going to tack that on the end, but we'll get into day 1 today, which is the 10-minute strength focus warm-up, and then the last 30-minute full body strength class. The description is it's the final week of the total strength program, and you're starting it off with this 30-minute full body strength class. Keep your goal in mind and push through 30 minutes of hinging. So again, this is definitely going to be a deadlift day, but I love deadlifts and I'm excited to take the final class and really amp up. And then we just finish off with the 10-minute post-strength stretch. And that's what's on the agenda for today. So let's hit the gym and knock out week 4, day 1. I always like the full body days the most, but I really like today's class. I feel like it was the perfect balance of challenging but still doable and like feeling like I'm making good progress. It was just a feel good class. So we started off, we had the 10-minute body weight warm up, that was fine. Then we got into class where we had quite a bit of warm up, but we started off with a weight, which is interesting because usually the first 4 to 5 minutes is always body weight in the big 30-minute classes. We held a medium weight like over our heads while we were on our back and then did like dead bug with our legs only. So that was kind of just showing right off the bat that we were going for it today. We did some more body weight warm up after that, and then we got into our jumps of the day. So we were like jumping up and down vertically and then like jumping forward and walking back, really getting the heart rate up. We also did some halos with a medium weight while being in kind of like the kickstand position. We introduced the kickstand position last week and we did a lot of it today, which I don't know, I feel like that position I am not used to doing. So it really feels like I am working hard when I'm in that position. So after all that warm up, I was ready to go, happy because there was already a little bit of weighted work in it. And then we got into the first set. And the first set was push presses in the kickstand position on one side. So you'd be in the kickstand. If your right foot was back, then you were pressing on your right side. I used 15 pounds because that's what I've been using this whole time. I feel like that was the right weight. I might have been able to push up to 20, but I feel like I just tried to do 15 fast, which seemed like what he wanted us to do. So we did the pushes on one side. You like go down a little bit and then push up. Besides that, it's just like a normal shoulder press. But being in that kickstand position felt a little bit harder. It felt good, like not super challenging, but I like that move. We did that for 30 seconds, 15 seconds off. Did the other side, 30 seconds, 15 seconds off. And then we got into our first deadlifts of the class. So I used 25 pounds. They were suitcase deadlifts, which we did last week. So you brought the weights to your side, just like a suitcase squat, but kind of the progression this week was you did 2 regular suitcase squats, and then on your third one, when you came up, you went on your tippy toes. And I like that because first off, I don't like jumping. So I'm glad that we like didn't jump at the top. We just went on our tippy toes. It felt like a good progression, made it a little bit harder, especially because I feel like I'm on the line between going up to 30 pounds. I feel like this was like a good progression at 25. So we did those and then we went back to the push presses and we did that set 4 times. It took a huge chunk of the class up, but I really like deadlifts and shoulder presses, so I was happy with the set. Then we got into the second set, which was also the last set. It started out with kickstand deadlifts, which we did last week, but last week we used medium weights on both sides. This week we used one heavy weight on the kickstand side. So if you had your right foot back, you were using your heavy weight in your right hand. And I don't typically find like the asymmetrical work to be hard, but this was hard. It was very hard for me to keep my balance because you had 25 pounds in one hand and nothing in the other. And he was like, focus on not rotating your torso. I just felt like it was a hard move, but it felt good. And I think I got pretty close to the form. I was really trying to focus on my form. We did one side and then we alternated it with the tricep complex that we also did last week. So 5 skull crushers, 5 JM presses, and then 5 normal chest presses, which I use my medium 15-pound weights for. And then we like went back to the other side and we repeated that set 4 times. So like 2 on each side for the deadlifts. And that was a push, but I like that move. I was just surprised how much the asymmetric work pushed me, but it felt good. I definitely feel some burnout, especially in the triceps. That complex is no move, especially with 15 pounds. Like that's quite the push for me. So it felt good. It was a good push for the day. And then we did the stretch and that was it for today. Enjoyability, I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. I really like this class. I love deadlifts and it's like majority deadlifts. So no complaints there. I also feel like Andy was goofier than normal in this class, which I actually liked. Like it was just an all-around good class. We were being silly. We were getting the weights. Like at one point he was like, oh, like make sure you're like paying attention to all your weights. Like they want to be in this workout, which I just thought was funny. Like, I don't know. I think it was a really good class. difficulty, I would give it like a 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I thought it was pretty difficult. I've been pushing the weights. I think we also got less recovery in this class. Like for the deadlifts, going to the tricep complexes in the second set, we were not getting like a lot of recovery time there, which I actually liked. Like I wouldn't want that every day, but it was nice to have a push, especially as we're going into week 4 and being like, wow, this was like a pretty hard class, but I feel like I did well. So 10 out of 10, had a good time today, and I'm excited for the rest of the week. It is now the next day. It's Monday morning, and I'm ready to get into week 4, day 2 of this program. Today is arms day, so we start off and we have a 10-minute strength focus warm-up, and then we get into the meat of the day, the 30-minute upper body strength class. The description is today is your last upper body focused strength class in the total strength program. Give your all to each rep of presses, rows, and more in these 30 minutes with Andy. And then we finish off with a 10-minute post-strength stretch. So a pretty straightforward day. I'm ready to get right on into it and work out my upper body. So let's hit the gym and knock out week 4, day 2. That was another good class. I really enjoyed it. We really pushed ourselves. So we had the 10-minute warm-up, no complaints there. Then we got into the class. Pretty typical warm-up for upper body, 5 to 6 minutes of like body weight movements. You know, we came back to the marching. We did some lateral marching, which is just like fine, whatever at this point. And then my favorite thing is that we did the push-ups before we did weights. So typically we've been doing push-ups in like the last minute of class, and it's so hard because you've just worked really hard on weights that you're just like dying. But he's like, oh, I'm gonna move them like before the weights today so we can get better push-ups so you're more fresh. And I kind of wonder why he did that like this class. I don't know, I would be interested like what the reasoning was. I guess it feels like you're making good progress because obviously you can do more push-ups when you haven't done weighted work yet. But no complaints, I liked it. So we did 4 sets of 15-second push-ups with 5 seconds rest in between. And I stayed off my knees for the first 3 sets, which felt very good. So I'm looking forward to the strength test. I do think I will see improvement on the push-up section. So once we did our push-ups, we got into the weighted work then, and it was no joke today. So I didn't progress weight at all, but the way that he set it up, I think made it harder. So typically we had been doing chest presses and then rows kind of alternating, but instead today we did 4 sets of chest presses on our backs, and I used 20 pounds, which is what I've been using the whole time. No like stopping in between, just as many reps as possible. 45 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and no rows. So you were just doing the same move over and over again. You did get that 30 seconds of recovery, but it feels a lot harder when you're doing the same move versus like doing rows kind of gives yourself a longer break because you're using different muscles to do rows versus chest presses. So yeah, that was definitely a challenge, was feeling the burnout on that one. And then after we went through our 4 sets of chest presses, then we did 4 sets of rows, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. I stuck with the 20 pounds. It was hard again. Like it's hard to do the same move over and over again, but it felt like a good push. I could definitely feel the burnout in my arms. And then we went to our lighter weights. So I grabbed 15 pounds, and we've done this complex set a bunch of times now. We did chest flies on our backs. After that, we did hollow body holds, but this time we like rocked back and forth. We did that one other week. I don't know how I feel about that one. I feel like it's easier than a normal hollow body hold, but I kind of wonder if I have the form wrong. Like I don't think I'm doing it completely right, but I do like it more than just holding hollow body, so no complaints there. And then we did 5 bicep curls where we had our palms facing the ground, then 5 normal bicep curls, and then 5 hammer curls. We did that set twice, I believe, and then the third time we just did the chest flies and the hollow body like rocks. And then we ended with a minute plank, which was very hard. Usually a minute plank is not that bad for me, but I think it's just from doing all the weighted moves. I was really feeling it in my shoulders, which is not usually where I feel it. But Andy is basically like, if you can't do a minute plank, how are you going to do a minute of push-ups? Which is true, but I was feeling pretty tired by the time we got to it. And then he also like wanted us to go down into like a push-up position basically and like hold at the bottom for a couple seconds. Like during this minute plank, he would just call out to do it. And I did it once and then I'm like, no, thank you. Holding the plank is a struggle enough. So I would just be holding the plank till the end of the minute. But yeah, definitely a lot of burnout. Very hard today, but it felt good. Like we are in week 4. I do want to have hard sets. And I think it really does show progress because when I chose 20 pounds 4 weeks ago, I was like, this is a very aggressive push for me for these 20 pounds. Like during week 1, I was like, we are getting so much recovery that I should go super hard, even though this is hard for me. We got so much recovery. And now 4 weeks later, we're not getting that much recovery and I'm still holding my own with the 20 pounds. Like it's definitely still a push, but I could not do this 4 weeks ago. So I definitely see progression, which is the goal of the program. So today felt good. Enjoyability, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. I like being challenged. I like feeling like I'm getting stronger. Difficulty, I'd also give it an 8 out of 10. Again, depends on your weights, but now I'm thinking, should I start going up to 25 pounds on the chest presses? Maybe we'll see in total strength too. But today was good. I've really been enjoying week 4. It's now Wednesday morning. Yesterday was a rest day, which was very nice because I was a little sore in my chest again. But today we are back at it and ready to go. So we're going to be hopping right on into week 4, day 3, which is the 10-minute strength focus warm-up and then the 30-minute lower body strength class. The description is, you've made it to your last lower body strength class in the total strength program. You'll still be working on the familiar movement patterns, but it'll be more challenging with added reps and weight. So I see a lot of squats in my future. And yeah, I'm excited to tackle the last lower body class. And then we just finish off with the 10-minute post-strength stretch and we are out of there. So let's hit the mat and knock out a lower body day. That class was just all right for me. Not the best, not the worst. I do think it was the most similar to last week and we didn't really progress that much. But I guess that could also be on me for like not picking heavier weights, but I don't know. So we did the 10-minute warm-up. That was fine. Got into the class, did another 10 minutes of warm-up. We did some body weight moves. Then we got into skipping. We did some lateral skips. So that's always fun, I guess. And then we picked up a dumbbell and we did some squats with a curl at the bottom, which I liked. We did them pretty slowly because it was still warm up, but I feel like that really did engage the body. And then we practiced our side planks for the day. So we do a different side plank every week. This week we combined the past 2 weeks where we lifted the top foot and then once we did that, we brought it back down and then we did kind of a crunch inward like we did last week. So it was kind of a combo move and we just repeated that a couple times on each side. And then we're ready to get into the set. So the first set was pretty much the same exact set as last week. Grab heavy weights, do as many squats as possible, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. And then we did 40 seconds of hip stretches, 20 seconds off again. So we had a lot of recovery. Someone in the gym was unfortunately using the 20-pound dumbbells, which is what I usually go for. So I used a 40-pound kettlebell. And I don't really feel like that changed a lot. I guess you're loading the weight a little bit different, but it felt good. Like it felt hard, but not super hard. It was manageable. Maybe I should have tried to push up to 25 pounds on the squats, but I feel like that would be really hard, but maybe I should have since there was like a lot of recovery. My heart rate was going crazy though. Like it was elevating a lot during the squats. I was trying to do them like fairly quickly. And I do see that I've come far in this program because I used to not be able to do 20-pound dumbbell squats for 40 seconds straight, and now I can. So I'm definitely getting stronger. So that was the first set. It took up a decent amount of time since we added in the hip stretches. And then the second set, we went down to medium weight, so I used 15 pounds. And we did alternating reverse lunges, holding both weights by our sides, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Then the side plank on one side, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and the side plank on the other side, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So that was a set. We repeated that 3 times. I honestly was thinking I should push up to 20 pounds for the reverse lunges, but I'm glad that I stayed at the 15. It felt harder than I expected. I don't know if it was because I was coming off the squats or if today was just like not my day to push weight, but it felt still like a push. My heart rate was still getting elevated, so I'm glad that I stayed at the 15 pounds. I did try to keep the pace up and I didn't stop at all, but I think 20 pounds would have been too hard. And the side planks were fine. Usually I'm pretty okay with side planks. And then once we finished that, we had a minute left of class and we just did body weight squats, as many as possible. I feel like that was kind of a throwaway to me. We had been doing isometric holds at the bottom, and I honestly would have preferred to do that. I think those are a little bit harder, but I think Andy might have been trying to get into your mind how fast you can go, and you can go really fast body weight because the strength test is coming up where we want to go fast on squats. I don't know if that was the reasoning, but I think that was just an okay finisher. And then it was over. We did the 10-minute stretch, and that was it for today. For enjoyability, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't super enjoyable, but it does feel good to be able to lift these weights. And then I also after a move to see my heart rate elevate and be wow, I really pushed myself. So it felt good, but I would have liked to be pushed a little bit harder. Difficulty, I would give a 6 out of 10. It depends what weights you have, obviously, but I do feel you get a lot of recovery in all of the lower body days of this program. So that just by default makes it not that hard. But yeah, overall, not a bad class. I didn't hate it. I just feel the past 2 classes were better, and I would have liked to see this one progress a little bit more since it is the final week. It's now Friday morning, and I'm so excited to wrap up Total Strength today. It's so crazy. It feels like I just started this program and it's already been 4 weeks. So today I'm going to be doing what I mentioned a couple days ago, where I'm going to be combining days 4 and days 5 of this program, because on day 5, all you have is the 10-minute warm-up, then the 5-minute strength test, and the 10-minute cool down. And I just don't want to do that on a separate day. In week 1, I just tacked it on to the end of the last day, and I'm going to do that again today, because the strength test is literally 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of squats. So my plan today is to go in, do the 10-minute strength focus warm-up, and then do the last strength class, which is a 30-minute full body complexes class, which is going to be the same thing we did last week with the AMRAPs. And the description is, you've put in the work for the past 4 weeks and it's finally time for your last strength workout. Get ready to give it everything you've got for 30 minutes of strength complex work with Andy. So, lots of AMRAPs, like I said, but we'll get through it. And then I'm going to do the 10-minute post-strength stretch as kind of a cool down from the complex class. I know the complex class is kind of hard, so I don't want to go straight into the strength test. And then once I've done the cool down, have some time to recover, I'm going to skip the warm up because I'm already pretty warm and go right into the 5-minute strength test week 4. The description is, you've dedicated the time and put in the work. Now it's time to see how much progress you've made over the past 4 weeks. See how many squats and push-ups you can do before time runs out. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm also going to skip the 10-minute post-strength stretch. You can skip 5 classes in this program and still get the gold award. So I'll still get that, but I just can't do it. I'll do a different cool down after the strength test. And yeah, I'm excited to see. I think that we will see progress in the results today. I also think we'll get in a good workout. So let's go to the gym and knock out week 4. was a really great way to wrap up the program. I enjoyed the classes and we saw, a little bit of progress, which always feels good, but we'll get to that later. So we started off 10-minute warm up. We've done this like 20 times now. I know the drill. So we got through the warm up and then we got into the main complex class, where we did another 10-minute warm-up. So we did like 5 to 6 minute body weight. We did marches, we did skips, we did jumps, we did the whole shebang. So we got that out of the way. And then we were ready to get into our AMRAPs, which were the exact same AMRAPs as last week's. For some reason, I don't know if it's just like mood or I was more prepared for what to expect today, but I enjoyed this class a lot more than last week's class, even though they are exactly the same basically. So it kind of shows like if you have a better attitude going into it and like more prepared for these long AMRAPs, I liked it more. And I feel like I already kind of knew the moves, so there was no like curve to learning what we were doing. So the first AMRAP we did 6 minutes, we did 6 squats, 6 bent over rows, 6 deadlifts, and then 6 push-ups. I used my heavy weights, which is what I used last week, which was 20 pounds. Last week, I think I got through about 4 rounds, and this week I got through 5, which honestly I was pretty surprised with because it's only been 1 week, so I wasn't really expecting to see progress. I chalk that up to mostly like knowing the flow better and just kind of getting into it more. I don't actually think I got 20% better since last week, but it was so cool to see like a little bit of progress. Then we had about 3 minutes of like stretching and calming down before the next AMRAP because my heart rate did get very elevated during the first AMRAP. I think I was at like 160 beats per minute, which is pretty high, especially for strength. So then we took a little bit of rest, got some recovery in, and then we grabbed our medium weight. So I grabbed 15 pounds for our second AMRAP that was 8 minutes long. And this AMRAP was reverse lunges, alternating curls, and then alternating shoulder presses. And the whole thing here is that you do like 2 on each side, then 3 on each side, then 5 on each side, and then that's the set. So you repeat that. I did have problems with grip strength again. I don't think it was as bad as last week. I started tipping my weights forward on the reverse lunges pretty much immediately because that like makes it easier and is not as strenuous on your wrist. So that was like a little hack and it felt good. I got in 4 rounds again, which is what I got in last week. Honestly, not really surprised to not see any kind of like progression, but it was still a hard AMRAP, still felt good. And yeah, that was the end of that class. Definitely a simple class or like not a ton of moves, but the AMRAPs are quite long. So it was a harder one. My heart rate was really getting up there. Then we did the 10-minute stretch for the last time. I won't say I will miss it. The stretch is probably my least favorite thing in this program. So we got through it and that was good to kind of have some time to bring my heart rate down again because it was elevated from the AMRAPs. And then I was ready for my 5-minute strength test. So we got started. I grabbed 15-pound weights because that's what I used last week. And we did like a couple of body weight squats and then goblet squats just to warm up in the first minute. And then we pretty much got right on into it. The first test was a minute of squats. And this time I did 30 squats with the 15 pounds compared to 4 weeks ago when I did 21 squats. So we definitely saw progression there. It felt good. I was really going fast because I've been training with 20-pound squats. And I honestly didn't expect to see that much progression because I felt like 21 was already pretty fast, but I went faster. It felt good to get the 30 reps in. And yeah, it was cool to see almost a 50% improvement in my squats. And then we had about a minute of recovery. I can't remember if it was a minute or a minute and a half. And honestly, I wish that we had a little bit more recovery. My heart rate was still coming down by the time that we started the push-ups. But I still went out the push-ups and I did 27 push-ups, which I am very impressed with. I definitely took some breaks. I took a lot of breaks 4 weeks ago when I got 14. But it felt good to see almost 100% improvement. And it was hard, but it was cool to see that much improvement. And I know if you just like consistently do strength, you will see that kind of improvement. I haven't really been on like a consistent strength schedule, honestly, since I moved to New York. So this really motivated me to keep it up because I do see so much improvement. So overall, very, very happy with the strength test results. And I don't really feel like I lost anything by doing it at the end of day 4. Obviously, I was a little bit tired, but on the flip side, I was very warmed up and ready to go. So that's the entire class. I skipped the warm up for the strength test and skipped the cool down. I just did some of my own stretches, but it felt good. I'm very proud of myself for completing this program. Today's complex class difficulty, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I think it felt more difficult than last time. I don't really know why, but my heart rate was really elevating and I didn't mind the longer recoveries because I needed that time to recover. And enjoyability, I actually just really liked it more this week. I don't know why. I think it's definitely kind of a mental thing, but enjoyability, I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It felt like a really good push to kind of end this program. So I was very happy with the classes today. The strength test, enjoyability, 10 out of 10, because I got to see all of my improvement. Difficulty, also 10 out of 10, because you're working your hardest. But that wraps up the entire program. My thoughts on week 3 and 4 specifically is that it does progress to be a lot harder than weeks 1 to 2. I do think at the end of the day, this program would be great for a beginner just because he does take a lot of time in weeks 1 and 2 to like teach you the moves, go really slowly, make sure you have a lot of recovery, and then you kind of progress. But honestly, I did enjoy weeks 3 and 4, especially week 4. I would love a program that was kind of that difficulty the majority of the time. I do recognize it's nice to have easier strength days, and every strength day you don't need to go super hard. But week 1 and 2, I felt like I could be doing more. So overall, I did like this program. I think I liked it more than like the split training just because the split training does get boring to repeat the same thing every single week. So I did like that this was a little bit of a longer program. I also think that I liked it more than Ben's Stronger You program, which I've also done a review on. I like the style of split training, and I kind of feel like this is the style of split training, but it just progresses. So I think I would gravitate towards taking this program more, but I don't think I would ever repeat this program. It just felt way too easy at the beginning. That is not something I'm really interested in. Obviously, the next step will be total strength 2. I'm a little worried about it having a lot of complexes, but maybe it won't be that bad after taking today's class. And the other program that I want to check out is Pump Up the Volume, because I believe that is also kind of structured similarly to split classes that then progressively get harder over the weeks. So let me know what other programs you've taken, if you've taken Total Strength 2 or Pump Up the Volume, and what you think. It is very cool that Peloton has all of these like longer strength programs now. I do feel like I stick to strength better when there's a program and I kind of have motivation from the instructor to stick with it. The thing is like if I start a split program, that's only a week of strength, but if I start a total strength program, that's 4 weeks. So it definitely is a larger commitment, but I feel like once I started, it's unlikely I stop. So I really have been appreciating the longer strength content. That is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.